some, maybe some glasses so I can share the wine.
Wait, I tried to catch somebody. I have no idea what it is.
Because I do want to share. If I drink out of the bottle, I can't share. Okay. Anthropomorphic anatomy. Why do we want to talk about this? I will tell you why. I have seen a lot of furry artwork in my career. And whereas people have an interesting idea of what a furry should look like, you really have to remember that there are still certain laws of nature. There are certain anatomical traits that are going to be the same, and some that just don't make sense. Oh, hello. For example, anthropomorphic cockroaches are sexy no matter what you do. As you can see, we'll talk about their anatomy another time. Okay. Who are my fine artist assistants here? We have Wolfie Nail. Oh, hello, Wolfie Nail. I don't know if we were ever officially introduced.
I'm Mr. Fly.
Oh, what?
Fly.
Fly. Oh, look. Oh, you Lothar. Okay. Wolfie Nail und Lothar. Und das ist Müller Torgau. It's the best wine in Switzerland. Okay. I wish I had a glass.
It's on the way.
Good. Good. Okay. When we look at a furry creature, what is one of the first things, one of the pieces of anatomy that we most commonly associate with furs? What do we see first usually?
The tail.
The tail. The tail is wonderful. I wonder, there we have a tail. Would you draw for me, please, the graceful curves of the human spine? You start with, yes, the cervical vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae, the lumbar vertebrae, the sacral vertebrae, the coccyx at the very end, the vestigial tailbone. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coxal. If you cannot remember those names, you can remember perhaps a mnemonic. You will know what a mnemonic is. That's when you take the first letter and think of something that will remind you. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coxal. Cyanide tastes like sweet candy. You will always remember that now. Okay, now we have already seen it's cervical. See, it's C. See, it's T here for the thoracic. Yeah. Lumbar is L. The sacral is here. Coxal is there. Yeah.
We have some language problems here, like Russian, Austrian.
And American.
Yeah.
Yeah, people tell me I have an accent when I talk. Is that true?
Yeah.
I have an American, yes. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar. Yeah. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral. S. And C is the coccyx. See, that is the vestigial tailbone. Now, notice how we've drawn this. Could you also draw like the skeleton of the bone that goes inside the tail? Okay, not. All right.
I've seen the cartoons.
Okay,
I
that
believe
works.
cartoons.
Yeah. But do you notice it follows the very, very graceful curve? It is a continuation of the spine. And now, how many times have you ever seen a furry that was drawn with the tail coming out of the middle of their back, like this?
Just 5 minutes ago.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. I've seen that a lot. Yes, thank you. We're going to see what this is going to look like. Yep. Yeah, the tail cannot come out here because notice what the spine will do. it now has to make a sharp turn. Your spine is not going to make a sharp turn from the middle of your back. That's going to hurt. Now, there is a different placement of the tail, which is in a very different location. Sometimes people put the tail too low. This is called the butthole tail. Yes. That is not where the tail goes.
Where it comes from.
No, this is not, this is wrong, wrong. Thank you, this is no good. We have Adam and Eve here. So, could your abs roll over here? What it should look like, if your nice creature here were to have the tail in the proper position.
It's hard.
Exactly. You see? It is following the curve of the spine. So, lesson number 1, tail placement. The tail simply continues the spine. We have a tailbone here. Fursuiters and people who wear tails, please note, when you strap on your tail or clip on your tail or whatever you do to keep your tail fixed to your body, you should feel the beginning of that resting on your tailbone. You should feel the tail resting right here and going down. If your tail is attached with a belt around your back and comes out here, that's wrong. If the tail is not resting on your tailbone, that is also wrong. That's no. That's where you should feel it. Okay, that is the tail. What else is there about furries? What else is about anthropomorphic creatures? What anatomical feature do they have that immediately sets them apart from the rest of us?
The head.
The head. What about the head?
The muzzle.
The muzzle. Let's talk about the muzzle. Oh, I love how this one is doing. Okay. The muzzle. Let's see. This one is happily filming. Would I be able to borrow you and perhaps somebody else could hold the camera for you? Yes. Thank you. Hold it very still.
Shake it, baby. Shake it, baby.
We shall both draw and demonstrate the muzzle. Okay. Turn to the side so they can see your lovely muzzle. Isn't it cute? It comes out from the head, and it almost looks like a human head that is, a human body that now has an animal head. How are you at drawing skulls? Can you draw a human skull from the side? This is a big test. Not bad. That's almost as good as a skull. Yeah. Yeah. Very happy skull, as you can see. Yep. Now, would you be able to draw this big puppy's skull from the side?
Next to
Wait. Next to it would be perfect. Yeah. So this is a dog's skull from the side. Yep. Now here is where we run into difficulty. I'll let you sit down now. I want to get a good idea of how you were situated. The spine in a human being comes in at the bottom of the skull. This is where our spine attaches, the base of the skull. We are designed to be very upright. The animal skull, the spine is attached at the back of the skull. That is where the spine comes in. So if you were to draw this creature with a human body, with the spine coming down here, which is how we most often see them, do you see what's happening? Your spine is in the back of your throat. You cannot move your tongue, you cannot move your jaw. How can the spine come down from that skull? That's a hard one. Some artists, Dark Natasha, for example, when she draws her creatures, she draws them with a somewhat elongated neck. So that in her creatures, the skull does attach at the base, but then comes down this way. Imagine, you will not have any room for, any tongue, vocal cords, nothing will be back there. Here we have, yes. This is the wrong, yes, here we have the creature with the spine coming up inside his jaw. It's just not going to work. So if you are constructing for a creature, you might have to consider the skeleton. Always consider the skeleton if you are drawing a furry creature, as these folks are doing. Ah, there we go, yes. See, that works. Because we have the spine attached here, and it can continue down. Checking badges. See, everybody understands this difference, yes? Good. So, yes, thank you. So we are talking about muzzles. Let's also talk about something for the writers, as well as for, say, animators. How does this creature speak? Do you want to have a creature that can speak English, or Russian, or Austrian, or that other English that they speak in Canada? Thank you. Consider, this creature does not have the same facial structure that we have. It doesn't have the tongue and the vocal cords that we have. How can it make sounds we can understand? Here's one of my favorite things. When you're watching a cartoon and they animate the muzzle moving, you will see they will make a sound such as the E vowel, and you will see the muzzle parted here. And exactly. And as soon as the creature says ooh, the whole face just puckers up into a tiny little hole, and all the corners of the mouth just pull forward. Yeah. How does that work? It's something that both animators and writers need to pay attention to. If you are an animator, for example, you might want to continue having the lips here and maybe have just the front of the mouth form the ooh sound, if the thing can even speak at all. As a writer, and I have published several stories, this can be difficult to explain. There are 3 ways that I have done it. In one story, I had a lion character who, when he spoke, his jaw and lips did not move. And that was very unnerving to people around him. He had learned to speak as certain birds do by controlling the muscles of the back of his throat and tongue. He actually made human sounds in the back of his throat rather than using his lips and his tongue and things like that. In the second story, I needed a canine. This canine lived in Japan and essentially had an interpreter that followed him around. When he spoke, it was a very guttural, harsh, almost Japanese, which was described by someone as a sumo wrestler trying to gargle around a mouthful of marbles. I like that. I was proud of that. And in the third story, I got lazy and said, no one really could figure out how he could speak, but he did. Sometimes as a writer, you just got to throw in the towel and say, fuck it. I don't know how it works, it just dies. Read the story. Okay. About ears. Here's something that I sometimes see in anime. We can talk our skulls again here. Have you ever seen a human character with ears up here? Okay.
we have our ears on the human head are up here. This is the necomimi. Or sometimes they have cat ears and human ears. That's an awful lot of holes to have in your head. Here we have it. Yep. If you put ears on a human being, you have to have 2 holes up here. That's not where they belong. If you want to have human ears, our ear holes are back here. Just, correct me, it's right behind the eyes, aren't they? Yeah, yeah. I remember the last time I dug up a skull in my backyard. Well, yeah, I was only one.
You have to draw. Don't drink and draw.
All right, okay. In that case, I could have drunk out of the bottle. Swiss wine. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Before and after. It's kind of cute when I see the people who just wear ears to go to the furry con. Yes, it's adorable, but to a scientist, it really looks strange. Because you've got now 4 holes in your head. Uh-oh. Yeah, here is your typical furry fan.
I laughed at those ones.
Well, I'm not going to stop him. This is great. I'm enjoying this. So, yeah, but he also has his regular ear. Yeah. So that's too many things on his head.
Reminds me of the Japanese cat girls.
Exactly, the necomimi. That's what they're called. So, we have talked about the spine and the placement of the tail. We have talked about the head, the animal head, where it is placed, how the muzzle works, where the ears are. And if you really want to get into the science, the shape of the animal head behind the eyes is designed for the particular senses that the animal uses. If you take this skull and you want to make it an intelligent creature, you now need to expand the speech center of the brain. You need to expand the brain itself. The head is going to start looking a little funny because you need more room for brain in here. But that one is easy to sort of overlook because, as I say, unless you're a scientist, you tend not to think about it. Let's go to the next part of the body. This is one that gets me all the time. There are 2 words that are thrown around when we discuss furries. They describe the legs. Digitigrade and plantigrade. The digitigrade leg is the animal leg, the up on the toes with the knees here and all that, yes. And you can draw bones if you want to.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, thank you. This is the digitigrade leg. Yep. Yep. Now, could you kindly draw the plantigrade? That is our leg, the plantigrade leg. We walk on what is called the plantar surface of the foot. We are plantigrade. Do you notice the difference between these 2? What is the purpose of this structure? The purpose of this structure is to support weight. Your weight is centered on this. This is a pillar designed to support the weight of the body. What is the purpose of this structure? Speed. The purpose of this structure is to drive the creature forward. It is pushing this direction. It is not supporting weight this way. It is indeed like a spring. It will compress. Could you draw, we have the hind leg of the animal here. Could you draw what the animal's front leg looks like? If you look at the front leg of an animal, it is not Actually, it's a little more straight than that. The front leg of an animal is much closer to this structure. Because in an animal, that's where the center of gravity is. If you look at the front leg of a deer, or the front leg of a cat or a dog, it is an upright structure. It is much closer to our leg. Because the center of gravity of this animal is up here. All the meat, all the organs, all the mass is in that part of the body. And then this, at the other end, maybe I cut and paste or something, is designed to drive it forward. But people are always drawing their characters with digitigrade legs. It's a matter of balance. Take this creature with its 4 legs and stand it on a small rock in the middle of a river. It can put all of its feet together and it can stand. If you put this creature on a small rock in the middle of a river, it can balance itself on that rock. Now take this thing and put it on that rock. It's got a tiny, tiny surface touching the ground. That tiny surface is now supporting the entire weight of the body. You have weight pushing down on a bent surface which cannot, over time, hold that weight without a serious buildup of muscle. Okay, some of you like the serious buildup of muscle. I've seen that art, all right, but we're not going to get into that here, okay? So, people say, but it looks better. Okay, when you're designing a character, you are trying to create an illusion. You are trying to make something that could come to life. That's the purpose of it. There has to be some small degree of realism. Yes, maybe it looks better, but I just want to go up to that digitigrade character and go, hi, like that, and watch them stumble all over the place and fall. Just like this. Yep. Our plantar surface, you notice? It's a fairly big platform. This is designed to hold us balanced. This is like, standing on a little tiny tube that is touching the ground and trying to balance on that. There's always some idiot out there who says, oh, but I walk on my toes all the time. I do this all the time. Yeah, good for you. Come back to me in 10 years after you've seen your orthopedist and now you can't walk and come crying to me. I'm going to tell you, told you so. A bipedal creature, one that is designed to be upright, is not designed to stand on an unstable surface. So now, yes, thanks. Put the tail coming out of his butt since we're here. There you go. Uh-oh, what's coming behind him? Ah, yes, there we go.
For the ladies, they always walk on their toes.
Ah, but she has support,
Yes.
do you see? She has support. It is still a plantigrade structure. We just have angled the foot. Also, orthopedists will tell you this is not very good for the lady's foot. It does cause problems with joints over time. It looks good, yeah, but you have problems with joints. And why is it that women always have 40 pairs of these?
I don't know, I only have one.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Where I come from, all the women have 40 or more pairs of these.
They want a comfortable pair.
Pretty.
What?
It looks pretty.
I got a pair of shoes. I've had them for 9 years. Okay, so we've talked about the leg. At this point, somebody usually brings up, what about kangaroos? What about birds of prey? What about tyrannosauruses? If Feel like drawing a Tyrannosaurus or a kangaroo? Just the skeleton. Okay, it is a Dragosaurus Rex we're going to draw here. It is a bipedal creature wearing high heels. Anyway, the Tyrannosaurus, and if you could draw an actual one, or I should say, because remember the Tyrannosaurus has a digitigrade leg, but the way we used to imagine the Tyrannosaurus has been shown to be incorrect. The classic design of the Tyrannosaurus has this kind of big kangaroo thing sitting upright with the tail behind it and is kind of looking around with the little arms going, yeah, this is great.
I don't have enough space.
No, you're doing fine, because this is what I wanted to illustrate. We have, the body is now a cantilever. It is essentially a giant cantilevered system. This is still designed to propel the creature forward. This is a very surprised predator who is designed to charge forward. We do not know how they rested. We don't know what they did when they stopped. Did they lie down? Did they sit back on their tails? We're still working on that. But what we do know is that this is not designed to be a load-bearing system. This is designed to be a propulsion system. Could you make them smoking a cigarette? Because I think that's what killed the dinosaurs. Yeah, that's what killed them. All right, oh yes.
What about character with
I'm sorry, yes?
with stump legs like elephants?
Elephants are very massive creatures. If you look at their legs, they are basically all four-leg. Their legs are pillars, just like ours are. Elephants do not have digitigrade legs. Please do not make a digitigrade elephant. Now, everybody does understand when I say digitigrade. That means you're walking on the digits. Let's bring this picture back up. Yeah. Okay. There we go. If you look at this leg, this is the tip of the toe. This is the toe itself. That is the ankle. That is the knee. See, ours is all down here. So we're only walking on the very tips of the toes, unlike the full plantar surface. The plantar surface of this animal is this entire area. So, the Tyrannosaurus was not supporting itself on those. Kangaroos have digitigrade legs, but if you notice when they stop, they either sit back on their extremely large tails, or they lean forward onto all fours. Bottom line, you cannot have a digitigrade bipedal creature. It's not going to happen. It looks better. Okay, it looks better. There I go. There we go. We have a kangaroo biting the ankle of the elephant.
Digital art is hard.